It is Monday, August 20th, 2018. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very educational Get Your Ass Kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Monday. Amazingly enough, I had I'd said something on the show the other day about how we just don't do enough takedown practice. And so that's what we did all day today was takedown practice. I don't know if anybody in my school listens to the show. If they do, thank you. It was very, very cool. But yeah, we did some takedowns, and I'm still not as confident as I would like to be with takedowns. You know, I really feel like I should be snapping to those similar to, you know, taking somebody into an arm bar or, you know, a rear naked choke or something to that effect, you know, well practiced, you know, because it is an essential point to getting to jiu-jitsu, you know, I mean, you got to get on the ground before you can put your ground game to use, right? So anyway, like I said, I was very happy that we actually did cover some takedowns today. We did a valley drop takedown, as well as a what was the other one? There's a valley drop, and the other one was kind of like a valley drop, except it was the trip was on the front instead of the back. But yeah, and unfortunately we did have somebody get injured during class, and oddly enough, it wasn't during the period where you're like transitioning from standing to going to the ground. And usually, if there's any injuries associated with takedowns, it's usually in that period between when you're going from standing to when you're going to on the ground. You know, because you're falling usually. But anyway, yeah. Unfortunately, one of my teammates did get injured. Apparently, he had a knee issue previously, and just the way he went down with his opponent kind of aggravated his previously existing issue. Although that's just my impression. I don't really know what his status is on his knee. Hopefully, it's not going to take him out for too long, because, I mean, I know knee stuff. I mean, I would rather somebody, like, land on my knee than like, twist or, you know, contort or hyperextend my knee, because that none of that stuff sounds fun. Anywho, let's go ahead and break into some music, because we have not done our first dance yet. And I saw this one come across my Twitter feed today. It was like first thing in the morning. I saw this come up on, I think it was Ice-T's feed or somebody else's. But anyway, I saw it and I'm like, yeah, that's the first dance. So here it is. Talk Shit, Get Shot by Body Count. First dance here on Coin Metal. And that was Sepultura with Subtraction. Speaking of subtractions, oh my god. Somebody is fucking crazy out there. I don't know who it is, but this person is fucking insane. And something needs to be done to correct it. I don't know what. Electroshock therapy, medication, group therapy, a hug, maybe a dog or a cat. I don't know, but this person is fucking insane, and they're creating a lot of shit and putting it out on the internet. Anyway, I came across this thing. So, God, it's so fucking ludicrous. It's so fucking crazy. So get this. I came across this on my Twitter, and this person, let's see, Paul Joseph Watson from Prison Planet, I guess. That's enough internet for today, he says. Healthline says using the medical term, quote, vagina is not gender-inclusive language. Uses, quote, front hole instead. Quote, it's imperative for safe sex guides to become more inclusive of LGBTQIA and non-binary people, the guide states. I don't... What the fuck? Oh my god. Oh, wait, let's see. This is, I guess, the Healthline newsletter or something. It says here, for the purposes of this guide, we'll refer to the vagina as, quote, the front hole, instead of solely using the medical term vagina. This is gender-inclusive language that's considerate of the fact that some trans people don't identify with the labels the medical community attaches to their genitals. Are you fucking insane? Insane. It's no wonder they took fucking Alex Jones off of social media, man. I mean, I imagine he'd be some shade of red and like screaming very, very loudly into a camera with a microphone on. And my only excuse is I'm kind of baked right now. But it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. And those of you who think this is sane, I am sorry. Somebody has fed you a bunch of fucking bullshit. You know, you want to talk about quote-unquote gender. There are quote-unquote gender roles, which are quote-unquote typical per gender. You know, like fatherhood, motherhood, those kind of things. But this whole thing that we're going to divorce these terms from biological reality? What the fuck are you trying to do? I mean, just imagine you're identified as an attack helicopter, you know, your gender, and you put that on shit, and, you know, you write it into your, like, legal documents and whatnot, and then somebody goes to try and call the ambulance for you. They don't know if you're a male or a female, because as far as they're concerned, you've got arms full of, like, tow missiles and shit. Because you put on there that you sexually identify as a attack helicopter. Or an attack helicopter. But yeah, it's fucking crazy, people. I really don't know what you're trying to prove with this whole multiple gender bullshit. There's males and there's females. There are some people that like the genitalia of both males and females, and some that only like the genitalia of the opposite sex. And then there are those that like all of it, and then some that only like the genitalia of those of the same sex. And that's how I identify this whole sexual bullshit. I mean, anything else beyond that, that's between your ears. That's for you to account for. That's not for me to know about or to care about or to worry about unless you're trying to do it to me. And then, you know, we might have a problem. I say Mike because I'm adventurous, but I just don't do dudes. That's just not my thing. You know, I do girls. Anyway, point being that, yeah, like I said, this fucking craziness. I mean, look, there's meme wars going on out there right now. And when I say meme wars, I'm not talking about Pepe the Frog and that kind of bullshit. I'm talking about the term meme. A meme is an actual kind of like psychological unit. I wouldn't call it psychological because it's kind of bro science stuff. I mean, as far as the memetics is like a reality, but it's basically observations of linguistics and how to use language. And so when you're looking at this stuff, they're trying to like destroy your mind with regard to what biology really is. I mean, this is all like so fucking out in left field. I mean, and I want you to understand something. I grew up in Los Angeles. I used to go to the clubs down there. One of my favorite places down there was this place that would do like multiple things, as far as like, one night they would have gay night, and the other night they would have fetish night, and then they have lesbian night, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I used to like to go there on fetish night, because even if you were just a voyeur, you like to just see what the fuck else is out there. It was an education, if nothing else. And I don't mean that in like, some objectifying way. I mean that you understand people as people. This person that's in leather and got metal shit hanging out of her face and whatever, and completely alien to your casual everyday reality, but this person is right in front of you. Oh, hey, would you like a drink? Yeah, I'd like a drink right now. And you get through the initial, the visual aspect of the person, and you just understand people as people. And when you start to see different sexual expressions, ones that may be completely alien to you, not even in a fucking book anywhere, it gives you the opportunity to see that it does exist, that people have a wide variety of ways of expressing themselves sexually and in their dress, in their behavior. But these are things that we identify as ourselves. And again, they're not necessarily something that anybody else is accountable for. I was working at this place recently, or the last place that I worked at, had this, I guess, gentleman. Clearly he was a man, dressed as a woman. But we never really got into the subject because operationally it wasn't necessary for our relationship there at work. Now, if our relationship had expanded anywhere into any other context, it probably would have come up. And honestly, I just wasn't that curious about it. They were nice enough. I can't remember his or her name. I can't remember because it was never given to me. But I do remember that it was a female name. I think it was like Sarah or something. And I had absolutely no problem calling Sarah Sarah. Now, would I call Sarah a woman? No, because Sarah was not a woman. Sarah was a man. Now, I don't care about what Sarah had between her ears, or his ears, rather. That's for him to deal with. Again, it's because it wasn't operationally necessary within the context of our relationship for me to even bother. It's not my business. That's just the way I feel about it. What you do with your genitalia is your problem. or your joy, whatever it may be. But the point being is I don't share in it, or I'm probably not sharing in it. And so, please, don't burden me with it. And speaking of burdens, this one many of us in crypto have waited for. Knew would come at one time or another. That there was a hammer, because obviously a nail was sticking up that needed to be hammered down, and it was clearly a nail. I mean, looking at it, it says, "Hammer me." Anyway, it seems the hammer hath fallen, and what its blow will yield, we have yet to find out or see, but I'm sure it will be fucking entertaining the entire way nonetheless. Anyway, this is on Toshi Times. The head of well-known scam BitConnect finally arrested, and this is by David Sahlstrom, authored 19 hours ago, so yes, penis. The mastermind and man behind the cryptocurrency company and scam BitConnect, Divyesh Darji, head of Asia, has been arrested as he arrived from Dubai. He and his conspirators are accused of stealing millions of dollars from Indian investors. BitConnect has been a dark cloud surrounding cryptocurrencies and has not been helping the mainstream acceptance of the new digital assets. Even YouTube was not able to work as a gatekeeper to protect users from BitConnect advertising. Now, the terrible story continues to unravel around the world. This time, the main profile and mastermind of the scam, Divyesh, has been arrested by the police. Gurjat CID from Delhi airport as he arrived from Dubai. BitConnect had its registered office in London, but the address was just a front, and earlier this year it was revealed that there was no office. The company was managed in Surat by Divyesh Darji, Satish Kumhani, and Deval Mavani. BitConnect promised investors an annual return of 365%, or 1% a day, said an official. If that lure was not enough, the company also encouraged larger investments for larger returns. For all different investments, you had to lock your money for 120 days. Dude, that just says, hammer me. I'm a fucking Ponzi scheme. Like with all Ponzi schemes, new entrants' money pays earlier investors, and it went well to the beginning of 2018. When investors started to become skeptical and tried to withdraw their money, BitConnect could not sustain their operations went bust. BitConnect and scams like it were a perfect storm. Why keep your money in fiat in government paper when its publisher can decide to take the wealth from the average Indian instantly? Instead, catch this Bitcoin train so much in the media, with BitConnect promising forever returns, as it supposedly used invested Bitcoin to pay for still other Bitcoiners' returns. PG Narwati of Criminal Investigation Department CID Crime of Gurjat Police said Darji was living in Dubai. A lookout circular was issued against him. The immigration department alerted us when he was on the way from Dubai to Ahmedabad, after which he was arrested today evening. The company came into existence in 2016, and in 2017 it launched the BitConnect coin. It remained active until January this year. It released 2.8 crore coins out, of which 1.8 crore coins were sold to investors. The accused held seminars, events in India and other countries, promising high interest, daily interest rate of 1% on investment in BitConnect coins. The cost of one BitConnect coin on January 16, 2018, when the company shut down, was $362. Even though it is good news that Darji has been arrested, the cryptocurrency market is unregulated, is new and still developing. Even most of the initial coin offerings were scams, according to a study released earlier this year. In some sense, it's good that the BitConnect story is revealed so investors can be more careful. If something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. As if we really needed to learn that fucking lesson again, right? But, not everyone was around in 2014 when everybody was promising the moon to everyone else. If you were fortunate enough to be here for that, you got to see all of this happen once before. Most spectacularly with the likes of Paycoin, which I think I've talked about on this show before, but they supposedly had a dollar peg of $20 per Paycoin, and their shit immediately tanked. Because, number one, they sold, but that's beside the point. But anyway, these types of scams, I don't expect that they're going to go away. And I really think that it's funny. We've got some people assuring us that, they're going to be able to regulate this space and they're going to be able to judge for us what is a viable investment and will be able to keep us from basically, save us from our own stupidity. And that's just not the case. Nobody can save you from me being stupid. I mean, if you jump off the cliff, you are going to die. There's no federal entity that's going to jump between you and the ground and save your silly ass. Your fate was sealed the moment your foot left the ground. And so the same is true in crypto. And I've seen multiple calls now from multiple entities for varying levels of regulatory oversight happening in crypto. And I can assure you that regardless of what entity does exist, there will be projects that will spawn that you will have access to that they will not be able to stop you from investing in or participating in. And that'll be that. Within 2 years, these people will basically have demonstrated their ineffectual nature as far as their ability to yield results as far as increased investor safety. And again, that'll be that. They'll have to close the doors. It's like, you guys are a fucking waste of time. You're wasting money. You're not really stopping anything. And it's really funny, the same people that are talking about regulation, they have ties to organizations like SWIFT and a lot of the big banks that have been caught repeatedly pulling fraudulent bullshit, like Wells Fargo. They've been cushioning up to crypto relatively recently. I would say probably over the last year or so, they've become a lot more amenable to it. But initially, they were doing things like closing people's accounts and all kinds of shit, and it's not fun. Anyway, let's get into another article. In this one, wait, where am I going with that? BitConnect, yeah. They're Dunsky, and you've got to watch out for anybody promising you returns. Anybody saying that they're going to promise you returns, forget about it. They're lying to you. They're just fucking lying to you. And another thing, if somebody tells you that they are a Bitcoin expert or a blockchain expert or a cryptocurrency expert, they're lying to you. And they're trying to sell you something. But basically, yeah, they're lying to you. There aren't any experts in this space. People can be experts about the software involved, but even then, they can only assure you of what is known now. I can guarantee within a year, something will happen within the cryptocurrency space that will reveal something that existed this whole time that nobody fucking knew about. Until it was too late. And then, then we hurried about and fixed it. But the point being that experts should be able to tell you definitively when these things are going to happen, what types of things they could be. I'm looking at it in terms of this space really is too young to be pointing at it and saying, oh yeah, we've got a handle on it. We know exactly how this shit happens. You can't even say that for legacy markets. You keep getting caught with your pants down, keep getting caught short. These things happen. For every winner, there is a loser out there. Anyway, I get this article here on btcmanager.com. FINRA releases alert on cryptocurrencies and ICOs. This is by Cindy Huhn? I don't know how to pronounce that. My apologies, Cindy. Yes, again, my apologies, Cindy, but clearly no penis. This is authored August 21st. Cindy is a time traveler. Thank you, Cindy, for providing this from the future. According to the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, initial coin offerings and cryptocurrencies are investments that have significantly higher risks than conventional assets like stocks and bonds. Yeah, I know, that's why I'm here. FINRA noted that cryptocurrencies hold significant uncertainty and may even be fraudulent. While all forms of investments come with a certain level of risk, FINRA warned the public through an investor's alert post that ICOs and cryptocurrencies are no exception when it comes to risk. ICO fraud is real. FINRA noted that while ICOs have raised billions of dollars and there are over 1,500 different cryptocurrencies in the market, they offer little investor protection. Many ICOs are conducted without clear disclosure statements required by the SEC that are often necessary for investors to make clear and informed decisions. The lack of regulations in the cryptocurrency sector is a big problem for the industry, as it increases the number of fraudulent ICOs and often leaves many investors as prey to Ponzi schemes. BitConnect! Even in many fraud cases, many investors have little recourse to recover their lost funds. Unfortunately, ICO fraud is a real issue, with a lot of money pouring into the ICO sector, a space that is currently booming and highly unregulated. It is no surprise that the industry has attracted many scammers. According to a study conducted by ICO advisory firm Status Group, more than 80% of initial coin offerings, ICOs, in 2017 were scams. FINRA stated that individuals responsible would go to the extent of using fake images from executives and actors with famous profiles and biographies to create false and misleading advertising and marketing content on the company's website for greater credibility. Furthermore, while most ICOs promise the exchange of tokens for investment, the ability for investors to receive tokens in the future is not always a guarantee. The release of tokens often depends on specific events, like the future public sale of tokens or the development of a new company. Even when individuals do receive tokens, they may not also be worth anything. FOMO can impact ICO valuations. In a report released by the EY, it noted that ICO valuations also tend to be based on a behavior known as the fear of missing out, FOMO. The ICO's value would be more closely related to people's FOMO than its actual value based on the market project, development forecasts, and the token offerings. With a lack of precise information available, investors are therefore not in the best position to make a clear, informed choice. Bullshit! FINRA noted that even the most comprehensive ICO white papers do not have the prospectus and information that are required for securities by federal securities law. That's right, because to some extent they're not federal. Actually, they're not federal securities at all. So it doesn't really matter that they're not suited to federal securities law. It's like rare Pepes. Did anybody look at a rare Pepe or a crypto kitty and say, hey, is this FINRA compliant? Is this SEC compliant? What's the CFTC got to say about my crypto kitty? No. We did not ask these questions because honestly, we did not fucking care. And with good reason, because in all honesty, these organizations really have no business telling us how to value our coins. They don't tell you how to value the food growing in your backyard. They don't tell you how to value your actual travel in your vehicle. You know, they can place additional friction on that, but if you're intent on driving your vehicle, you will drive your vehicle. You'll find a way to afford that fuel. You'll make adjustments where you need to, but you'll be driving if you really, really want to. And it's the same thing with investing in cryptocurrencies, that if you really want to, you will find a way to do it. You know, you'll go through VPNs and you'll use fucking OTC trading platforms. You know, I hear OpenBazaar is getting an additional volume these days of altcoins. And I think that's a really good thing, because from what I understand, there's no AML KYC requirements on it. So, have fun, kids. Always be careful. Watch out for your own bunghole. Because, you know, these people, they're just as interested as you are in making a profit. And the best way to make a profit is to not have to pay for it. Such is the nature of the beast man, or woman, or whatever the fuck you think you are. But yeah, so FINRA, just as relevant in crypto as they've ever been, which is not. I do appreciate their effort, though, in trying to at least understand. Because if anything, I think they could probably give government officials a little better understanding of what's going on in this space. However, the problem that I see with that is that, of course, they'll want to make up laws against some of the stuff that we're doing here. And again, because all of us are participants in this, and not just banks and not just legacy financiers, the rules that applied to big-ass banks that are accountable to millions, if not tens of millions of customers, and us, not really the same thing. Although I will say this, that cryptocurrencies are probably the most self-regulating venture there is. Like with BitConnect. How many of you got sucked into BitConnect? I know I didn't. I mean, it worked for a little while for some people, but I don't know anybody that took it seriously enough to invest in it. You know, they were too busy trading altcoins on other exchanges and shit like that. You know, but the majority of the people that I know took one look at BitConnect, took one look at one of their presentations and said, nope, not going to give these people a single Satoshi because they are scammers. I didn't need FINRA to tell me that. I didn't need the SEC to tell me that. I didn't need the CFTC or any other federal organization to tell me that. Again, know an animal by its tracks. You know, is it a predator? Is it prey? Is it an actual investment, or is it a scam? But yeah, so FINRA, I do appreciate the effort, but I don't know that you're actually going to be able to protect me from my own stupidity. Oh, but hey, we're actually going to read their material, because we were able to track it down. I knew there was a link somewhere in that article. Anyway, I'm on finra.org. Initial coin offerings, what to know now, and time-tested tips for investors. Your digital assets, those assets you have stored electronically on your computer or on the internet, take many forms. The unique logo you designed for your company, the photographs stored on your phone, and your eclectic iTunes music collections. Digital assets also include cryptocurrencies and other crypto coins and tokens, which may be offered to you in an initial coin offering or ICO. FINRA is issuing this alert to inform investors that investments in digital assets such as ICO tokens and cryptocurrencies can involve significant uncertainty as well as risks that are different from more conventional assets like stocks or bonds. While ICOs, cryptocurrencies, and the technologies that power them may hold great potential for legitimate innovations in capital raising and financial markets, it can be a challenge for investors to verify information about these products to make informed decisions. The markets for digital assets continue to display high levels of volatility, involve speculative risk, and the potential for fraud. All investments come with some degree of risk, and ICOs and cryptocurrencies are no exception. A quick 411 on digital assets. Digital assets like cryptocurrencies and ICOs continue to evolve and spark interest from Main Street investors. With billions of dollars raised in ICO financings and over 1,500 different cryptocurrencies currently available, these rapidly changing markets are tempting for investors. It is also difficult for individual investors to make sense of these complex products. An ICO involves the creation of a new virtual coin or token by a company looking to raise money. ICO investors typically do not get a stake in the company like you do when you purchase an equity share in an initial public offering. Most ICO issuers use blockchain technology for some part of their business to provide a particular service or product, and these companies disseminate the new ICO tokens to buyers via a blockchain network. Well, at least they admit it's a network. 7 things to know now about ICOs. With retail investors using real money to invest in digital assets, there are 7 things to know about ICOs. Know now about ICOs. My apologies. Number 1. ICOs offer little investor protection, i.e., do not bet more than you're willing to lose, or able to lose, or can afford to lose. To date, many ICOs have been offered outside of the existing regulatory systems. ICO promoters and issuers may be offering the tokens or coins to investors without typical disclosures and customer access to documents required by U.S. regulators like the Securities and Exchange Commission that help investors make an informed investment decision. The lack of regulation increases the risk for fraudulent schemes and deceptive tactics, and leaves investors with little recourse to recover funds invested or hold parties accountable should a fraud occur. The SEC and Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, have released guidance and taken action against market participants that may be operating illegally or have engaged in alleged fraudulent actions with respect to ICOs and cryptocurrencies. Number 2. ICO fraud is real. Fraudsters tend to go where the money is, so it is no surprise that ICO fraud is happening, and regulatory authorities are cracking down. For example, the SEC recently halted a fraudulent ICO, alleging the individuals in the firm promoted the ICO using websites and social media to lie about relationships with well-known and respected organizations and included fake customer testimonials to attract investors. The SEC and criminal authorities also recently charged individuals with orchestrating a fraudulent ICO that raised millions of dollars from thousands of investors last year. The SEC alleges that these individuals offered and sold unregistered investments with fictional claims about how the money would be used. These individuals allegedly used fake profiles of executives with impressive biographies, posted false or misleading market materials to the company's website, and paid celebrities to tout the ICO on social media. Here is an example of what a fraudulent ICO may look like. And let's click on the example really quick here. Oh, Howie Coins. No. Number 3. Online platforms that facilitate trading in ICO tokens are not registered exchanges. Good. And many of these platforms have a history of problems relating to spoofing, insider trading, and market manipulation. The SEC recently warned investors about online trading platforms that refer to themselves as quote-unquote exchanges, which might make investors think they are regulated entities or meet the regulatory standards of a national securities exchange. However, no ICO platforms are currently registered as exchanges, and the SEC has stated that it does not regulate these platforms as exchanges or review the digital assets on these platforms. Good. Number 4. Investors are losing millions to ICO theft. One study found that $400 million in funds raised in ICOs in 2017 was lost or stolen. In addition to stealing money and tokens, hackers have accessed investors' personal information like addresses, phone numbers, bank details, and credit card numbers. In an ICO, there are many touch points where something can go wrong, such as digital wallet providers. So be aware that crypto security vulnerabilities exist, and many of these entities might be operating internationally and without any regulatory oversight. Gosh, I hope so. Number 5. Receipt of tokens is not a given in an ICO. Oh, dude. If I'm paying you money for fucking coins, I best be getting my fucking coins. Continuing on. The ability of investors to receive tokens in the future is typically contingent on certain triggering events, such as the development of a new enterprise and a related future public sale of tokens, which may not take place. Even if you do receive tokens in an ICO, they may be worth nothing or may be redeemable only for goods or services by the token issuer. Furthermore, there may be no ability to trade or exchange the tokens. Oh, dude, that's a deal breaker right there. Number 6. SAFTs, SAFTs, don't make ICOs safe. Some market participants have been using simple agreements for future tokens, or SAFTs, to offer their tokens to the public. SAFTs are investment contracts that appear to be modeled after SAFE, simple agreement for future equity contracts that emerged with securities-based crowdfunding. Know that investing in a SAFT contract does not mean the offering is, quote, safe or compliant with the applicable federal and state laws. In a SAFT, the issuer typically advises that the token you purchase would start out as security interest or, quote, security token offered subject to federal securities laws, but then transform over time into a quote-unquote utility token. Oh, sorry about that. That operates outside of federal securities laws. The issuer may indicate that the coin could be used for future access, rewards, or discounts for a company's products or services. No matter what a company says about the ability of a token to change characteristics from a security to a non-security, there is no guarantee that the SEC or the courts would agree with the company's assessment. A determination of whether something is a security is a facts and circumstances analysis, and titles don't change that. 7. FOMO can inflate ICO valuations. My apologies there. If you are worried that you are not investing in an ICO, if you are worried that not investing in an ICO now means you are missing out on a future windfall, you are not alone. According to a recent study, ICO valuations often are based on the fear of missing out, rather than market fundamentals, project development forecasts, and the nature of tokens offered. With little information available outside companies, with little information available about companies that undertake ICOs, investors are not in a strong position to make informed choices. Many ICO issuers publish a white paper that provides details about an offering, but it is difficult for investors to verify the information included. Some papers may be misleading or even fraudulent. Even the most comprehensive ICO white paper tends to lack features of prospectuses or other offering documents and disclosures required by the federal securities laws, such as audited financial statements, disclosures about the company and its officers, and risk factors to consider before investing. Time-tested tips. ICOs and the markets for digital assets may seem like the next big thing, but a few basic time-tested tips can serve you well before you make a decision to invest in any new product or market. Number 1, only invest with money you can afford to lose. God damn, that was the first thing I said about this. ICOs are speculative, and you can lose some or all of your investment, i.e. you can get wrecked. Number 2, practice diversification. This is the equivalent to the proverbial quote, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spreading your money across different asset classes such as stocks, bonds, real estate, or other investments helps control risk. Number 3, check the background and registration status of any individual recommending or selling an investment, including ICOs. You can do that quickly, easily, and at no charge with FINRA's broker check. Check the credentials of any promoters, salespeople, or those mentioned in a white paper. For example, someone claims to have a PhD in computer science. Verify that it is real using these tips from the Federal Trade Commission. And we may or may not go up on that. Number 4, collect and review information about ICOs from regulators and trusted media outlets. Study the company, including financial documents, executives and employees, organizational structure, and business lines. Number 6, run the investment by others. In the case of ICOs, this may include someone with a strong technology or mathematics background, as well as an experienced investor, CPA, or registered investment professional. Number 7, new technologies and media buzz are often the recipe for the latest pump and dump scheme. Look out for guarantees, unregistered products, claims of overly consistent returns, complex strategies, missing documentation, account discrepancies, and pushy salespeople. All are red flags of potential fraud. Could not agree more. Sound advice there, FINRA. If you have any concerns about ICOs or cryptocurrencies or suspect a scam related to these investments, you should contact the SEC, file a complaint using FINRA's Complaint Center, or send a tip to FINRA's Office of the Whistleblower. Well, there you have it. Some very sound advice here by FINRA. And I will say this, that when I've read through these things, by this organization, also the CFTC and the SEC, The thing that I like the most about all of the materials that I've read is, number one, they're usually pretty well edited. I had to do a little adjustment here or there on this particular paper, but it wasn't anything noticeable. But number two, they're very approachable. It's not something that I need to be a lawyer. I don't need to be a securities expert or an investment professional in order to understand the words that I'm reading here. And I think that's really important, especially for new investors coming into this space, is that, not all of this stuff is as plain as day to them. They may join crypto Twitter and they're going to see 20 fucking terms in their first day that they're like, what the fuck is that? And what's that? And how does it relate to what I'm going to put my money into? So, again, I like the approachability of these materials. However, I would like to expand a little bit on their time-tested tips. There are several that are crypto-specific. One of them being the development of a coin or cryptocurrency project. There's several repositories where you're going to find the software for the associated project. Assuming, of course, there is any. And a lot of these projects, there isn't any. And that's one of the things you're checking for. And you're also checking for things like, how often are they updating it? Does it look as though they're trying to keep it relatively current? What's the volume? What are the types of complaints they've had? Have they had any complaints? And you'll find those things on like GitHub and so on and so forth. That's usually a pretty good source for the source code for a project. They put their stuff up on GitHub. I don't think it's a really good idea, especially seeing as Microsoft purchased them, but that's a whole different can of worms. But yeah, so thank you, FINRA, providing us with some sound advice. But yeah, so, and another thing you want to do is you do want to go on Twitter and follow as many people that look like they have a clue about what they're talking about concerning cryptocurrencies, and even some that don't, because a lot of times they'll post stuff that nobody else is posting, and you're just like, oh, hey, what's that? Let's double click on that. Let's do a little rabbit hole hunting. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music, because it's been a while. I went kind of long on music, and so I figured I had to fill it in with some real content. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down some Sixth, and I do have all of it now, so I can put on any song I want. And let's see here. I've got all of it. What would be a good one for us? No, not that one. It'll all be good. I love pretty much every one of their songs. There's like one or two that I'm like, but those are usually just the spoken word ones, and it's like, those are cool and all, but I'm not going to play them on the show. It's just not the right venue. Let's see. Wait for Something Wild by Sixth here on Coin Metal. And that was The Immigrant Song by The Infectious Grooves. I gotta say, I really like their version of it. It pains me to say that, being a Led Zeppelin fan of old, but you gotta give credit where credit is due. And when a band does something like the Infectious Grooves rendition of the Immigrant Song, you got to give props to it. It's good stuff. Oh, holy crap. I just noticed something. Litecoin is $54.39. That's just painful, man. Painful. Anywho, I was kind of like at a one kind of wondering where I should take this, and at times like that, it's always good to check the ever trusty Twitter feed, because when I did, I came across this. This is on CoinDesk.com. Tron's BitTorrent acquisition triggers a string of employee exits. Maybe they don't like being owned by Tron. And this is by Annalise Milano. So clearly, no penis. And Annalise is from the future because this was written on August 21st, 2018 at 3:35 UTC. At least 5 employees have left BitTorrent, the peer-to-peer networking pioneer, following its June acquisition by Justin Sun, the founder of the controversial blockchain protocol Tron, CoinDesk has learned. According to multiple sources with direct knowledge of the acquisition and company operations, the departures were related to concerns about the acquisition as well as the direction proposed for the company by Tron leadership. Sources said 3 of the employees left on their own accord, while 2 others were dismissed. Among those departed were at least 2 individuals serving in leadership positions, the sources indicated, performing key roles such as general manager and head of marketing. However, other senior-level employees, including the company's chief executive, chief financial officer, chief product officer, and chief revenue officer, are unable to leave the company due to 18-month lock-in agreements. But they're probably going to bail anyway. The news comes just 2 months after Sun purchased the San Francisco-based company for $120 million in cash through Rainberry Acquisition Inc., a company registered to him alone, according to publicly available documents. Sun, a former Ripple representative, is best known for founding the Tron project in 2017, which aims to decentralize the internet and boasts controversial miner Bitmain as a backer. Tron completed a $70 million ICO in 2017, but later returned the funds collected from Chinese investors after China banned the fundraising method. At the time of the acquisition, observers speculated that Sun purchased BitTorrent with the hope of leveraging its extensive user network, about 100 million users per month, for his own project's ends. Others suggested Sun acquired the company with the hope of lending credibility to Tron, something it has been accused of lacking in the past. More specifically, last year Tron was accused of failing to properly attribute code that it incorporated into its protocol. This allegation was followed by claims project leaders had plagiarized Tron's white paper. Sun's $1 billion blockchain launched in late June, shortly after the acquisition was announced. However, token holders are still in the process of electing the nodes that would make the technology fully operational. A Tron representative told CoinDesk via email, quote, "Tron is committed to the BitTorrent product and user community. We have been growing rapidly since the acquisition as one family to meet our vision for a decentralized future." But according to sources, this rapid growth is one of several reasons remaining staff are concerned about the acquisition. The approximately 49-person company is hiring for at least 30 positions, ranging from software engineers to recruiters, LinkedIn shows, and employees fear the expansion Sun hopes to achieve will compromise the company's working culture, which sources described as more relaxed prior to the acquisition. Yeah, it's probably why you were acquired. You were too fucking relaxed. Sources went on to tell CoinDesk that there is also unease amongst remaining employees about Tron's marketing techniques and messaging, particularly with regard to the nascent state of their technology as compared to the way it's been marketed to consumers and investors. Likewise, they said BitTorrent staff members feel discomfort about the role of Tron's entities in the blockchain's node elections. Out of 27 total elected nodes, Justin Sun controls 1 and Tron controls 4. Though the nodes are named after different entities, specifically BitTorrent, uTorrent, Puo, and Rabo, the Tron acquisition marks the latest chapter for BitTorrent, which has undergone multiple personnel shakeups in recent years. The company laid off 12 employees in 2008 after its online media store product failed, and again in 2015 when it cut around 40 employees following a reorganization of the business. And there you have it. I don't know. I've watched a lot of this stuff as far as like shakeups because of companies being acquired, and this is all kind of natural. As far as how it's going, my bigger concern is how it's going to affect BitTorrent in the longer term. I mean, because they're getting rid of people that like started BitTorrent. So, you know, when you have that kind of a shakeup, you usually do have a significant alteration of the culture of your company. You know, so no, you're not going to be able to come to work as a fucking furry. Sorry. I know everybody tolerated it before, but that's outside of company dress code guidelines, and so you're asked out, buddy. Either the suit goes or you go. You know, I mean, it's obvious that, you know, they were having a very quote unquote relaxed atmosphere. You know, I don't know how to feel about that really. I mean, you would think that given the type of software it is and what it enables and how its users are depending on it, that they would take that a bit more seriously. You know, I mean, clearly they've had 3 shakeups since 2008. That tells me that they aren't all that serious. You know, I mean, for one thing, they should have been all over this fucking cryptocurrency thing a lot sooner. But yeah, BitTorrent, their acquisition, I think in the longer term they're going to end up being something like Hotline or LimeWire or Kazaa. That there'll be other options out that are probably available right now, and the people that are using them just aren't talking to other people about it. They're like, fuck it, I don't want this shit to turn into BitTorrent. But, you know, invariably the stuff does get out. It's just they enjoy the best of it before everybody else. So yeah, BitTorrent getting acquired. And this one we're definitely going to get into today, but I'm not sure if we're going to get into it yet. Where was I going to take that? Initial coin offerings. Oh, that's FINRA's stuff. I have like a million fucking tabs open in my browser as usual. And let's see here. Graphene. No, that's not what we want to cover today. And we don't want to cover that. Oh, yeah, this one was related to the BitTorrent thing, and this was actually authored today, and it's on bitcoinwarrior.net. And I thought this one was a little more significant because, like I said, this guy's pretty high profile in BitTorrent. So here it is. BitTorrent inventor Bram Cohen leaves BitTorrent behind. When Bram Cohen first revealed BitTorrent on a public message board on July 2nd, 2001, he never imagined it would quickly become a main driver of internet traffic. In the years that followed, millions of people embraced the technology, and more than 17 years later, many still are. As the technology became more popular, Bram Cohen co-founded a company called BitTorrent Inc. in 2004. This promising startup raised millions in funding and made millions more through advertising, but financially it never really took off. Cohen himself was more interested in code than money, though. As BitTorrent Inc.'s lead engineer, he worked hard on a live streaming implementation of BitTorrent, believing that it could empower the future of online live views and entertainment. Despite the technical achievements, BitTorrent Inc. headed into rough waters. The company tried to reinvent itself under new leadership, but the millions that were spent didn't translate into greater success. BitTorrent's inventor lashed out against the company's management, and it appears that he slowly but steadily went his own way. Cohen has recently taken interest in blockchain technology, and he's working on his own environmentally friendly cryptocurrency, Chia. Where the broader public sees crypto as a revenue potential, Cohen is mostly interested by the technological aspects. He's been critical of gold bugism since the beginning and sees Bitcoin as something that's fundamentally flawed, especially the wasteful mining process. Yeah, only because there's certain monkeys that want to turn it into a settlement layer only and don't want to let it operate as a fucking global currency. Continuing on. Considering Cohen's criticism of other cryptocurrencies and the hype surrounding them, there is some irony to the fact that one of the most controversial cryptos, Tron, acquired the company he founded. Tron's founder recently launched the idea to, quote, improve Cohen's protocol by integrating it into the Tron network. This will allow users to earn TRX currency by seeding files. A controversial idea for sure, but what does Bram Cohen himself think about all of this? When we asked some questions using the regular BitTorrent.com email, we received an auto-response suggesting that BitTorrent's inventor is no longer using that address. Cohen hasn't said anything public about the Tron deal and isn't very talkative. But when we reached out using an alternative email, the response was clear. Quote, I have no involvement with Tron, Cohen noted. We followed up by asking whether this means he no longer has an official role at BitTorrent Inc. His response again was short but clear. Quote, that is correct, he said. It is no secret that BitTorrent's inventor had started to distance himself from the company he founded, but the responses we received suggest he has moved on permanently, which is a big deal. Unfortunately, Cohen didn't comment any further on the issue. One can imagine, however, that seeing the company he built from the ground being placed in the hands of a crypto millionaire isn't what he envisioned. BitTorrent Inc. currently loses some of its flair without Bram Cohen. It's the end of an era and, at the same time, the start of an uncertain future. Now, let's see. Source TF for the latest info, copyright file sharing, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, yeah, there you have it. Bram, the guy that started it, is bailed. Let's see here. Yeah. But yeah, that definitely hits the value proposition of owning BitTorrent in the dick, squarely. Big old kick right in the dick. Yeah, you can have the company and you can have its IP, but if you don't have the people that maintained it and created it, like I said, that's definitely a big a big hit. But I want to transition into something else because I thought this was especially cool. I found this on my Twitter feed as well. And this is on CryptoSlate.com. Why Kim.com believes US dollar will collapse and crypto will take over. And this is by Joseph Young, authored approximately 12 hours ago. Continuing on. German-Finnish internet entrepreneur Kim.com recently reaffirmed his negative stance on the US dollar and stated that crypto will eventually compete with reserve currencies. .com commented, quote, "Many economists agree. The US economy and US dollar will collapse under the enormous US debt burden. The pyramid game is coming to an end. Crypto and precious metals will go up when everything else falls. I think it's going to happen within the next 2 years. Is an epic collapse coming?" In an interview with Washington Post, Erwin M. Stelzer of the Hudson Institute said that if the U.S. continues to go down the path of acquiring limitless debt and printing trillions of dollars on a yearly basis, the economy of arguably the most powerful country in the world could collapse. Stelzer said, quote, "If unlimited borrowing, financed by printing money, were a path to prosperity, then Venezuela and Zimbabwe would be the top of the growth tables." He's absolutely correct there, by the way. Citing the statement of Stelzer, .com said the growing debt piled on by the U.S. government will inevitably create a bubble similar to the financial crisis in 2008, leading the value of the U.S. dollar to drop substantially. If the dollar falls, .com said that the value of stores of value such as gold and crypto with independent price movements will prosper. In an interview with Bloomberg, Mark Haugen, the Vice President of Research and Development at Bitwise Asset Management, recently explained that cryptocurrencies as an asset class rely on fundamental drivers that are different from the catalysts of the broader financial market. Haugen said that institutional investors and large-scale retail traders have begun to acknowledge cryptocurrencies as a legitimate store of value because the entire asset class moves independently of the traditional finance sector and the global economy. Hence, assets like gold and crypto, which are known to be robust stores of value, will remain unaffected by the next financial crisis if it occurs in the near future, as economists predict, Matt said, quote, "Non-correlation is not the same as inverse correlation, so there's no guarantee that when the market goes down, crypto will go up. Over the long term, we think the fundamental drivers of crypto are different from the fundamental driver of equities and other assets, and we would expect the low correlation to persist." In recent years, a growing number of economists have publicly disclosed their concerns regarding the performance of the global financial market and the growing debt count of major economies like the U.S. While the value of fiat money such as the U.S. dollar is a direct representation of the power a central authority holds, and the value of the U.S. dollar will not decline substantially as long as the U.S. government holds its authority over the global economy, economists have said that if the U.S. government continues to drive its debt up unnecessarily, it will reflect on the economy in the years to come. Record $13 trillion debt. Earlier this year, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's Center for Microeconomic Data report revealed that the total U.S. household debt has reached $13 trillion, establishing a new all-time high. Mortgage debt, credit card debt, and student loans increased by around 70-fold on average demonstrating instability in the economy of the U.S. Dude, 70-fold increase in anything is a demonstrable instability. Analysts have suggested that as economists and investors continue to express their concerns regarding the increasing debt of the U.S., more individual and institutional investors will likely move to gold and crypto to hedge against the global economy. I couldn't agree more. And of course, there is no comment. That's 20. Yeah, so whether or not gold and cryptocurrency will replace dollars is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, as far as I'm concerned. Mostly this is because there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, and a lot of these cryptocurrencies that are out here are in fact capped in their total volume, which means that they will only have, X amount of coins in the entirety of time. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve is printing unlimited sums of Federal Reserve notes. And as we've talked about multiple times on this show, when that liquidity comes out to the market, it expresses how the market wants to express it. And previously that's been primarily determined by banks and other institutional investors. However, because the Federal Reserve is no longer the only source of monetary units that are individually, as far as like the networks and coins themselves, are separate in their accounting from the Federal Reserve, they will continue to go up in relative value to the Federal Reserve note as more notes are created. It's fucking economics 101. And if you need an example in your life, in your everyday life, that will most readily convey to you the concept of fiat inflation, watch gas prices. Everybody needs gas that's driving a vehicle or operating a gas-powered generator or vehicle or something like that. So that is by far the most liquid market. And so when there are price shocks coming, you are first going to see them in the prices of energy. Because the supply chain up ahead of you is demanding more, it has to pay more for their energy, and so you end up having to pay more for your energy. But again, where we most readily experience it is in gas prices. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but over the last, I'd say, probably 7 to 8 months, a gallon of gasoline has gone up about 30% where I'm at. I can only imagine how much it's gone up in places like Los Angeles and whatnot. Where they like to tax everything. Like, way adversely. But again, we're coming back to energy. As that gets more expensive, everything else gets more expensive too. And that includes Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is energy intensive. And that's not even considering the fiat inflation differential, which again will cause Bitcoin to go up over time. I mean, really, go back and look at the chart. Do you see anything on that chart that indicates that Bitcoin is going to go down and continue to go down? I don't. I see a temporary subside and a correction, but that for the most part the trend is still going to be going upward. And again, it's because of the number of US dollars that are coming into circulation and the resulting demand on cryptocurrencies. These institutional investors, they don't immediately come to crypto. They come to crypto when everything else that they're doing is maxed out. They can't do it anymore without breaching some sort of point of diminishing returns, whether it be quarterly returns or annual returns or whatever, that if they push it any further, they'll increase their tax burden or something like that. And then they start looking at more speculative things like physical coins or cryptocurrencies. And we've recently seen increases in institutional interest in cryptocurrency. We've also seen a significant increase in the amount of hashing power coming onto the Bitcoin network. Now, of course, it's not the only network to see significant gains in hash power as well. There are others out there. But again, mining is energy intensive shit. And so the more the energy costs, the more mining is going to cost, and the more miners are going to have to charge for the coins that they sell in order to break even or make a profit. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. I got some Slipknot going on in the background, but I think we've already played some Slipknot. We've got so much of everything else that I really don't want to do that. We haven't played any Clutch tonight. X-Ray Visions here on Coin Metal. And that was Gizmochi with Voice of Sanity. We certainly can use more of those, can't we? It's a crazy world out there in crypto, and certainly no indication of getting any less crazy over time. Now, as far as what's going to be valued as what later on, none of us can really tell until we're already there. And fat lot of good that does us, right? But anybody really predicting to you or stating unequivocally to you that you are guaranteed some sort of return, dude, beware, beware, beware. I wouldn't give him any money. Like I said before, there are no real experts in this field. There are people that have way more experience than others. There are people that have way more knowledge than others. There are people that have both more knowledge and experience than all of us. However, I would not call them experts, because as knowing as they are, and as correct as their predictions may be, they're not always right. Everybody gets caught with their pants down, and this space being as new as it is, relatively new by comparison to a lot of other investment vehicles and types, I would say that we can expect to be in that state of surprise for years to come. There's something being developed right now by somebody that will be eminently useful to all of us. It could be the thing that you're working on right now. So don't be so quick to try and hand that mind space off to somebody that is currently bigger than you. At one point, Bitcoin was in somebody's closet. At one point, Binance was an idea in somebody's head. You are Satoshi in this space, and you could be holding the next surprise right between your own ears. I certainly hope to see it soon. And it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. I certainly do appreciate the support. Like and subscribe on YouTube. You will be able to find this episode as well as many other previous ones on my YouTube channel. You can find me on Twitter, on Facebook, in the Telegram for Verge Currency, as well as Discord. And we will be back again on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I'd like y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. And watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And until then, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with this last dance, Static X, Machine. Y'all have an excellent evening.